All right, Kokane, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Happy to be back on the program.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you back. It's been a while.
Yes, sir. It's about 3-4 years?
Yeah, yeah, man. I know you always stay grinding, always stay working, always out there traveling, working with this person, and just getting it in.
Man, same MO. Nothing changed but the weather.
That's it, man. Well, I just probably thought we'd take it back a little bit and, get to know some of the history and with your music and, some of the things that you've been through that probably a lot of people might not even know about.
Let's go. Let's go.
So, can you tell everybody, what was your introduction to music and how far do you go back in hip hop?
Well, a lot of people don't know I'm a Motown baby. My father, Jerry Long Sr., was an incredible musician at Motown. And some of the greatest songs you ever want to hear, like Just My Imagination, Still Waters Run Deep, just like over 500 musical compositions. So you kind of say I had the cheat code. And also my cousin is Code 187, and my uncle was Willie Hutch. It was a great ride. Willie Hutch did Brothers Gonna Work It Out, I'll Be There. He also did one of the biggest scores for one of the biggest PI movies, and that's the Mac. So that's where I come from. That's my humble surroundings in the beginnings of music. So when I came on my daddy balls, I was doing music.
So it was just from the very gate, you just always had the musical influence. Did your dad teach you how to sing? How did you come up with your unique voice and style?
Well, we had a chance to grow up in the era where we had a combination of music, like a big pot of menudo or gumbo. It was rock and roll, jazz, blues, funk and soul. And in the early 70s when Kool Herc and them did their thing, and then Sugar Hill Gang, Curtis Blow, it had an impact on me. And, I'm honored to, really, really gravitate towards the pillars of hip hop because, I was born in South Bronx. A lot of people don't know I was born in South Bronx, the mecca of hip hop. But we moved at an early age because my pops, went to Detroit doing some work and eventually moved to LA and then resided in Pomona. So, that's where I started off doing music. And I started my career off in 1984 is when I started off, a long time ago. And I was doing rapping and singing way before your Drakes and way before a lot of people, how I do it. I think I was one of the first ones to do it, how I do it. Of course you had Slick Rick doing that, incorporating the singing into his stuff, but the way I do it like emulating Rick James and George Clinton, Curtis Mayfield, and then being able to be a hip hop artist, it just, that was my stilo. And my cousin had a group called Above the Law, which started in 1987, 88, and they linked in with Eazy-E at the early stages. And then once they got put on, I got put on in 1989. I signed a production deal first with Laylaw, rest in peace, who was a contributing member of NWA. And then the rest was history. It didn't take long for me to get signed. Did a 3-song demo. Eazy heard it. And Eazy said, I'm with it, man. Kokane, it is what it is. He's dope. When you hear his music, you're going to get hooked like you're on cocaine. So that started my career on a professional level, way back then.
Okay, now when you signed with Ruthless, was Ice Cube already gone?
Ice Cube just left. And DLC just had that accident.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So, that's when I got signed. And it was a trip back then because, the good thing about Eazy-E is that he messed with everybody. You know what I'm saying? He get curfews, blood, crip, SA, whatever. And we learned a lot from that man because he had ideas that he was way ahead of his time. Messing with Above the Law, DLC from Texas, and then messing with your one of the biggest groups in the world was Bone Thugs and Harmony, and a slew of other artists from Drakester to Knockout to just, he was an incredible visionary. So once I got put on, it was a perfect spot for me, as Kokane, because it wasn't no secret. You know, he loved controversy and controversy sells. And back then, I had recorded my album in 1989, but I had to wait a whole year till Above the Law, Living Like Hustlers came out. And that came out in 1990. Ironically, at the same year, that's when Warren G brought Snoop and Nathaniel, rest in peace, to audition for Above the Law in Inglewood, California in 1990. So when a year passed, Living Like Hustlers,
What was that like? Can you take me through that day?
I could take it. Well, Warren G always used to talk about this kid named Snoop Rockski, which happened to be Snoop, and Nathaniel, you know, which happened to be Nate Dogg. And this was in 1989 when me and him both lived with Hutch in Kokane, California at the Cottonwood Apartments on Mount Vernon. You feel me? So we used to go back to the studio at Audio Achievements where NWA used to record in Torrance. And Warren will always say, man, I'm going to bring these people to the table. So once they auditioned in 1990, a year later, it's just because of Warren. Warren is a significant part of Snoop's career, a lot of people's career.
What was the performance like? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did they audition?
Well, they came through the door. I remember it like it's yesterday. And Snoop had a little high, like a high top, little fade or something. And Nathaniel and them came in and they auditioned. And one thing I noticed about Snoop Rockski at that time is that he was a cold freestyler. And originally, Hutch was going to put him on to be a Ruthless recording artist. This was way before Death Row. And back then, Suge was my manager.
Suge was your manager at this time, along with Dre?
Yeah. So he auditioned. Hutch was going to put him on. I would tell Hutch, man, this guy got it, man. He got a smooth delivery. He cold with it. So we vouched for him back then, you know, way back then. But we also went to London during that time. And then when we came back, we was putting together the NWA Evil for Zagging album. And the first song they did was called 100 Miles and Running, which Hutch brung the break beat to Dr. Dre. A lot of people don't know that because he's not credited for it. But that's how that beat came to 100 Miles and Running. And then during 91, the biggest deal in the world that Eazy had, because he was considered our West Coast Russell Simmons, was the deal he made with Epic Records. It was Me, Above the Law, and Poor, Broke, and Lonely. But during the time they was going to put out Kokane, the FCC laws got down on Tommy Mottola, Kenny Cambersaw, and Al Musako, that was head of Epic Records. And they was kind of scared, so they changed my name from Kokane to Who Am I? So when like people was going to the stores, you know, after I dropped the single, Nigga Slick under Kokane, they was like, well, who the is this? We looking for cocaine. You know, so that kind of put a stifle in my program, but something about those doors, like I said before in previous interviews, it was good for me because everybody got upset when that happened. Above the Law got upset, Ruthless Records, NWA, Dre, Eazy. So they said, okay, man, you come on, be a writer for NWA. So I wrote Eazy-E's 10 Gangsta Commandments, just as well as introducing a character called Sweet Talk on the beginning of the intro, along with the late great KMG, rest in peace, in Code 187. So those doors being shut in my face was good for me because I was always making records for the streets.
What was it like around Dre at the time when you first got there?
Oh,
And what was everybody saying about Ice Cube being gone? And you were there for the No Vaseline records.
well, you know, seeing Dre record, Eazy and Dre always used to argue in the studio, but Eazy had the last say so because it was like, it was his company. They always had creative indifferences. But Dre, prior to me signing, actually, Dr. Dre and Hutch was supposed to produce my record. And it's incredible to see Dre in there because he's cold on the mixing board. But there was a lot of parts to that production too, such as DJ Yella, such as L.A. Dre, you know, at the time, rest in peace. And it was incredible. So going back to 91, when I had a chance to get on the NWA album, just as well as being a writer, it was beautiful. You know what I mean? But then during those times, in that same year, I had put out an album called Who Am I? People was like, who the is this? Shut my door, but I didn't care about getting played on the radio because that was a platinum record. So it was like, who cares about radio? I'm Kokane. Ain't gonna change my name for nobody, right?
What was it like when No Vaseline dropped?
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy because Cube got one leg up, man. That was an incredible record. You know what I mean? And we used to go in the club all the time. And whether, with Easy, it seemed like every time we went in the club, they would play that record on purpose.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So Eric was the type of person he didn't care because he was making bread of a lot of things.
You guys didn't have to rough up no DJs?
Nah, well, I plead the fifth on that one. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? Certain things we had to do, I can't say. But Easy said, forget this, man. I'm going to go back in and we're going to do this NWA album.
So you guys are in the clubs, you guys are hearing this everywhere, and Easy doesn't really care. He's just all about the money. He's like, well, it's good publicity.
Yeah. Yeah, that was his thing because controversy sells. And
Yeah.
that was controversial. And the only time that he said, well, let's go for it is when they put the Niggas for Life album, Evil was Zagging album. And then during that time, Ice Cube mentioned some things about Pomona cats that he shouldn't mention. Yeah, so he said something about Pomona, and then he came up to the celebrity, and, Hutch and Ice Cube got into a fist fight. And, Hutch ended up putting in work on Ice Cube at that time. Ice Cube ain't no punk, though, he fought, but, he got worked at that time because we were real serious about what we do. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about above the law, we were the real deal, from hustling to carrying weight to beating up people to all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It really wasn't NWA because they considered above the law all of us, they henchmen, at that time. But when that record Cube came out, it really hit home, you know what I'm saying? Even though Easy didn't care, he did care because it's like they was playing it everywhere.
I remember it was a huge song, man. What about Jerry Heller? Because in the movie, it's got Jerry Heller. Jerry Heller is like, he's extremely mad about the record.
Right. Well, he was extremely mad, but when you think in terms of the NWA movie, it's only 40% true.
Oh, okay.
Because Ruthless Records got some notoriety on one record, and that was JJ Fad, Supersonic. If there was no JJ
from
Fad,
Rialto,
that's
Rialto.
right. That's right. And because of the success of that record, opened up for NWA and the rest of the Ruthless artists. That one particular record, Supersonic.
That's crazy.
So they really
right?
wasn't touching on that in the NWA movie like they were supposed to. And everybody know Easy wasn't driving down the street looking at the bulletin board crying. How the that's gonna happen when there's some bullshit.
Bone was like the biggest thing in hip hop at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way Eazy-E was broke, bro. He was making millions.
He was far from broke. Man.
Yeah.
You gotta realize Easy was a street cat. So therefore what you see is what you don't know behind closed curtains. He had many ways and avenues to make bread. And exposing some of the ways he made bread, that's not for me to say. But trust me, it's far from broke.
Right, okay. So you guys are with Ruthless. Ruthless is NWA is going crazy, but at some point, Dre decides to leave too.
Right.
And this right here was pretty big, because this led to him linking up with Suge and doing Death Row. What was that time like? How did you find out he was leaving?
Well, Suge was already with us. In 1989, he was the bodyguard of DLC. So he was already with us, you know what I mean? And during that time, he had some brains on him and intelligence. And he was like, this paperwork don't say this paperwork. But a lot of people don't know, they think it started with just Dre leaving. No, Above the Law and Kokane was going to leave with Suge just as well as Dre. You see what I'm saying? Because there was some discrepancies with some paperwork and it was. And we were going to leave, but Easy was so adamant about keeping us. He was like, I can let Dre go, but I'm not letting Above the Law and Kokane go. Nope.
You guys are supposed to be the future of the label.
Yeah,
at
we
the
were
time.
supposed to be the new Death Row, Above the Law and Kokane, not just Dre. And Snoop and them wasn't even put on. They weren't even thought of. I didn't even hear no Dog Pound yet. You know what I mean? But the thing of it is, Easy set up a meeting, and Dr. Dre was supposed to come to. DOC was there, and it was in Inglewood, and we rekindled our business relationship with Easy because we didn't want to leave Ruthless Records, but because of the paperwork and all the that was going around, with the paperwork, it really stemmed from Jerry Heller and the group of people we had behind there, which I can't name. The group of people, and Easy got real upset because Easy was, at the same time when he found out that we're all getting duped, he wanted to make it right because he was getting duped too. They were double dipping. That means if you sell records over here and they sell some records over there and they don't tell you about it, which naturally it ain't nothing new. They've been doing that since Motown days. You know what I mean? But Eazy-E had found it and got pissed off. And I remember walking in the office one day and Jerry Heller was on this side, this is in Calabasas, and Easy. And Jerry brought me in the room and he said, man, I'm not gonna be here for too long, man. He was sad, but I don't know why he was sad, because he knew what was going on. And, Easy was like, I'm getting rid of this, man. I'm finna get a cue, get everybody else and make it right. You know what I mean? So ironically, it's like when he started making it right and wanted to make it right, all of a sudden, boom, he did. Now do the rest of the homework. You see what I'm saying?
Let's take it back a little bit, man. Suge leaves and Dre leaves, they start Death Row. But when they leave and Dre makes Dre Day.
Right.
Which is a monster hit.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys are still with Ruthless.
Yeah, we're still with Ruthless. And during that time, let me back up. They're doing Appetite of Destruction. This is still in 91 on Niggas for Life album, right? So we had the video. They filmed it in LA at a bank. And we out there in the car, Laylaw, Hutch. And we always used to play each other music, you know what I mean? We used to get each other's tapes back when they had the heavy tapes from Bernie Grutman. So we was playing Black Mafia Life. So while we playing Black Mafia Life, Dre's and them coming over and be like, what's that y'all playing? We call it gangster funk. We call it G-Funk. You know what I mean? Because when you listen to NWA, they really wasn't on that Parliament like that. They was mostly considered a West Coast bomb squad. You know what I mean? Chippy, chippy, chippy. But when Above the Law and Kokane, we put the funk in it. You see what I'm saying? So Dre was like, hey, man, y'all gonna win off that, man. What y'all call that? We call it G-Funk. Hutch was like, it's gangsta funk. This is our form of music. Because we didn't want to be called P-Funk, so we gangsters. And we call ourselves G-Funk. And Dre was so, man, bam. And back then, everybody used to have everybody tapes. So like, the stuff that we did, Dre heard it, everybody was on it. And during that same time, 91, at the end of it, we were going to leave with Death Row, but we rekindled our business relationship with Eazy-E, Above the Law and Kokane, but Dr. Dre and Doc left. So when they left, Dre left with our tape, the Above the Law tape, and it's like, when we were going to put out our stuff, somehow the deal at Above the Law, which ain't somehow, got hated on, and Dr. Dre's got picked, from over Above the Laws, and that's why we had to put our record out, Above the Law, because I'm really considered like the fifth member of Above the Law. We had to put out in 1993 or something because a lot of people thought we bit Above the Law, thought we bit Dr. Dre's Chronic when all the songs on the first Chronic sound similar to Above the Law's Black Mafia Life. So that put a bad taste in our mouth because Dr. Dre was biting our stuff, biting Hutch, biting our concepts, theories, everything. You know what I mean? And it was cool because That was the first time you ever heard the word G-Funk on record from Tupac, from a record we had, or
Oh,
call it
right,
what
right.
you
So I
want.
was gonna ask you about that
Mm-hmm.
because I seen a headline about Tupac coining the phrase G-Funk, or like what all, like how was he involved in that?
Well, you heard KMG say G-Funk on there all the time, but you know, um, originally Shock G was supposed to be on the record, but he had to go to New York. So Money B and them mentioned Tupac, and Tupac always used to hang around Lay Law, Above the Law, NWA. He was soaking it up from us. He always used to come mess with us. You know what I mean? And Shock G couldn't get there, so Tupac got on, and he knew the style of music that we did. That's why he said, "I'm from the G-Funk, but you can call it what you want." And you never heard that word before, prior to hearing it on the Above the Law records. But because Warren G 2 years ago knew our style of music and our play, he coined it as a spinoff of G-Funk era. But it came from Above the Law and Kokane, G-Funk.
Okay. Now, how did you guys feel when Dre did Dre Day?
We went in on him. You know what I'm saying? Because I heard a song, and we were all cool. Even when Dr. Dre left, at that time, he didn't really have nobody. We rekindled our business relationship with Eazy-E, but then I was a signed artist at Ruthless Records, and at that time, Hutch was working on a project, and we couldn't really put Snoop Rock-Ski on at that time. So what Warren G did is took their demo tape up to some type of barbecue and played it. And Dr. Dre knew Hutch was working with Snoop Dogg. So Dr. Dre had called Hutch and said, man, Warren brought this tape over here. I'm thinking about myself, what you think? So Hutch is the one that vouched for Snoop Dogg. Yeah, Warren G brought a lot of things through, but Hutch put the icing on the cake by vouching for him with Dr. Dre, saying, go ahead, work with the kid. I'm working on stuff with Kokane, and I think he need a shot. So a lot of people don't know that, man. Hutch vouched for Snoop Dogg, with the exception of Warren G bringing him over, you know what I mean? Because in terms of like listening to each other, Hutch and Dre always listen to each other more than Dre listened to his own brother, Warren G. But the music spoke for itself. So Hutch said, man, work with the kid, I'm working with Kokane, and that helped landed Snoop Dogg's career. I didn't know no Corrupt. I didn't know no Dash then. So we was all cool and everything. And I'm like, man, we homies with Dr. Dre, Snoop over there. Everything was cool. And then we're working on our stuff. But then once they left, we felt at that time, which it was, Dr. Dre had hoodwinked the G-Funk style and took some of the stuff, some of the music theory and concepts from Above the Law's Black Mafia, like the stuff that we put it together. But we was like, wasn't tripping until me and Hutch driving down the street, and I hear a song called Blunts and Tangeray, and I hear this kid named Corrupt saying, I don't drink no BSOP, I only drink the OE, and saying, claiming your cocaine when you're to blow up. So I'm like, who is this? I'm like, I'm dissing us. You know what I'm saying? So we at that time was working on my album, Focal Point of Rhyme, in 1993. And we was like, oh, okay, because we didn't have no problems with Dre. We didn't have no problems with these new Dog Pound. We didn't have no problems with none of that. But I get it. You on Dr. Dre, people gonna egg you on to diss people that you should not even diss or don't even know the stilo. So me and Hutch went to the studio right away, and we came up with a diss song called Don't Bite the Funk, where I was dissing out of Dre Day. I don't believe in celebrating Dre, called Here He, come on. Cocaine and serving suckers at the players' ball. It was like we was going in so hard, and I was going in on Snoop, Corrupt. I was like, I'm gonna you up, Corrupt, because I'm gonna bust through your hood like Slit Smoke, Liquor Bull. We was really on their head. This was prior to the Eazy-E, Drayster, and BG Knockout diss. No, we was the first one called Don't Bite the Funk, because Hutch was on there saying, y'all bit my shit. And we was like, who is this corrupting? Who's this dad? Who's this? And Daz wasn't really in it, mostly corrupt, and it was Snoop. But I get it. So we went in, came up with a project called Funk Upon a Rhyme, which was released in 1994. And we were going in. It was Ruthless against Death Row. But, going from that record, we had a right to say we had the right because that's what it was. But Eazy-E and them never rebutted after, not Eazy-E, but Snoop Dogg never rebutted after that record because we were 100% telling the truth. They took our at that time.
Okay, and what was it like when Eazy-E linked up with Bone?
Um, Incredible, man, because Eazy's a visionary. And we so much on the gangster funk driven type of music that we didn't understand their style at that time. But then it started growing on us. And Eazy said, man, these cats is gonna be one of the biggest cats in the world. But we didn't see it. I'm gonna be brutally honest. No disrespect to my little bros, man. I love them to life. But we didn't see it at that time because we was West Coast. This is how our gangster is, boo, boo, boo. But see, Eric always thought outside the box. And then he hooked up with Unique. Shout out to the producer, Unique, who's a significant part of the Bone Thugs and Harmony sound. And you could see Bone Thugs and Harmony in 1993 when we did Any Last Words. They're in the video along with Rest in Peace, Toker and Danger, at that time. So they were just coming off the bus. They were like, they didn't have nothing. You know what I'm saying? They used to just, they was, everybody starts from humble surroundings, man. They was wild back then, used to tear up hotels, all kind of stuff. Wild back then. But Eazy seen what we didn't see at the time. I mean, Naki seen it. He's a significant part of encouraging Eric to sign these kids.
Who was?
Knockout.
Oh, BG Knockout?
Yeah, BG
Okay.
Knockout. And once they got put on, exactly what we didn't understand, we understood because they were everywhere like Elvis Presley. You know what I mean? And that's what the thing, the Eazy, like I said, I reiterate, he had vision, you know what I mean, that to this day, man, a lot of people taking his concepts and did it. He had speakers back then, headphones back then, rims back then. You see what I'm saying? So that was the situation with Bone. They blew up, and rightfully so, man. That's why I always tell Eazy-E don't get the credit he deserves. A lot of people get more credit, rightfully so, what they deserve, but Eazy-E don't get the credit he deserves. Straight up.
Yeah, Eazy definitely don't get talked about, Okay, now, you guys are with Ruthless. Death Row's going crazy. It's kind of, I don't know if it's like it's not really like a real beef, but you guys got your issues with him or whatever.
No, it was some real beef.
Okay. Did you ever run into anybody from Death Row?
Yeah, we ran into him. We was at the American Music Award, and they on this side, I'm on this side. So I'm kind of purred. In the middle of the commercial, I'll walk up and go over to the Death Row side. And I see Corrupt, and I'm like, you dish me for? You don't know me? Real talk. So he turned up, Dad said something, and I was still cool with Suge. Suge was like, nah, Kokane, not today. We can handle this another way. Yeah, so that's when I got him. We wasn't backing down. And then I had my homies that I put on my project from Watts, Hat Game Watts, Big Twine, called Black Hole of Watts. We were going after them. So in terms of the beef that we had, yeah, it was serious.
Okay.
It wasn't no play.
Now, I remember in the movie, you got Ice Cube and them running into Death Row, and there's the brawl and everything.
No, not Death Row. They ran into Above the Law.
Okay.
So Above the Law is the reason why the New Music Seminar is no more. So what had happened is after we got into a beef, after Hutch got into that scrimmage with Ice Cube, there was some fun going down. So it was Above the Law scrapping.
You weren't there?
No, I wasn't there. It was Above the Law. I was supposed to be there, but it was Above the Law scrapping JD, and it was a good fight. And then KMG, Big King's son, was fighting for, with the lynch mob, but he got folded. KMG knocked him out. Bop. So it's some real stuff because, Above the Law is from, consisted of South Central members and Pomona members. And of course, a Compton brother named Eazy-E put us on, but that's the reason why they shut the New Music Seminar out because of that fight. Yep.
Now, you guys have a relationship with Tupac. Tupac starts blowing up. Brenda's got a baby, and he separated himself from a Digital Underground, and he's kind of taken off, man. Were you guys close at the time? Like, what was your...
Well, Tupac, back when he had the Gumby, and our homegirl, which a lot of people don't know, was Jada Pinkett. That's the homegirl. Her and Regina King always used to come to the studio. That's our homie, prior to she blowing up. So we did business with Tupac a little bit later, but we all had a mutual friend that managed Digital Underground, which is Atrian. He was the manager. And back when we were doing the same gang, remember we did that in the Nickerson Garden. Shout out to Mike Concepcion, who pulled that together. Pac used to always come around. And this was before Thug Life and a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't know, faithfully, Tupac was around Above the Law and NWA and Kokane all the time in 1990. So he was supposed to do this movie for the twins, who are actually from Pomona, the film directors, Menace to Society, but they end up getting whooped on or whatever. And you could see us doing shows in 1992 at the Jamaica House with Tupac on stage, I'm on stage. He still got the Nefertiti chain on and all that. So we knew Pac prior to him blowing up on shit. And when he did the movie Juice, it was just over with. He was like a household name. And a lot of people don't know I'm actually on that record, just a little sound bite, but I'm on that record, the same one that Brenda's Got a Baby when the homies call. Well, I write y'all. Who you think that is? It's me. You know what I mean? So we was already with Pac, and Pac was with us. I remember Pac used to come to NWA studio and the Above the Law studio, be fascinated with how we speak, because we had that real, talking about life and death, talking about things in the ghetto. So he related to that, especially coming from what line he come from. And it was just cool, man. I never had a problem with Pac. So when he got caught up and then years later came back home, we driving down the street and I had a spot at the Majorian, and I just got through doing a record for Ant Banks up at Ice-T spot. He used to live on Sunset Plaza. And me, Spice One, Caffeine, the actor, was together. So we driving, and I see this little peanut head shaped head in a rose. I said, man, that look like Pac. I heard he got out, but I didn't run into him. So we pull over. Pac, he was like, Kokane, Spice, what's up? Pac was animated. So we pulled over, and we went to the spot. He had some little things up there. He went in the room, handled his business at that time. And he said, come to my studio, man. I'm putting this project together called One Nation, man. He said, Coke, Spice, you guys are going to be perfect. So I remember we driving. He lived off Sherman Way, up the hill, remember like it's yesterday. And I could see Gaddafi. I could see Edie there, Napoleon, the Outlaws. So we go inside, and I'm playing on the piano. Sometimes I feel like my day is coming. Won't you free my mind? Free my mind, free my mind. That type of. Pac was like, man, when I need some like that. He said, hold on, boom. He arguing on the phone with Quincy Jones' daughter. He's like, I'm tired of this. Boom. Hung up the phone. He said, boom, let's go to Can-Am Studio. We're going to put this down right now. So we go to Can-Am Studio, and I believe the last song that he did was with me, Edie Amin, and Spice One, and it's called a song called Fortune and Fame. Fortune and fame, something we all adore. So that was supposed to go on the One Nation project. And he said, I want to invite you the next day to come to my shoot. You know, he was doing a movie with Jim Belushi, what I can't figure out their name. The one of the Belushis, right?
Yep.
And I remember it was on 3rd Street, and we walking into the trailer, and here comes John, you know, one of the Belushis. I'm like, oh, but his breath was humming like a like. So we was all bagging on Belushi breath, but Pac was like, man, I'm going to go to New York. Once I come back from New York, I want you to come out there because I'm going to the Mike Tyson fight. So we were supposed to go to the fight, and we were supposed to be a part of the One Nation. He did an interview. You can go on it right now and hear Pac saying, I got cocaine, because he was mobilizing the East Coast and the West Coast together. He was breaking the walls down of the vision. So he met with Nas out there, and he wanted me and Spice One to come to the fight out in Las Vegas. But at that time, in 1996, I couldn't go because I had obligations with Yella, because we put out a project called One More to Go in remembrance of Eazy-E, and had a song called For Riders Only. So I remember, like it's yesterday, like the day I got the call was from Be Legit. Shout out to Be Legit. He was like, man, they got him. I was like, what you mean they got him? You know, he didn't say he was dead or nothing, but he said they got him. I said, what you talking about? He said, man, they popped, you know, Pop. So I'm looking on it, man, and I'm seeing it, and I'm like looking on the television, I'm seeing it's true, and they said it ain't looking too good. You know what I'm saying? I was just in tears, homie. I couldn't help it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, he's gonna make it through. But then me and Be Legit was like, it don't look so good. But I was still believing he was gonna make it through. And that was sad for me, because a year before, Eazy-E died. You know what I'm saying? So when one person passed, it's like you remember all your homies that are gone. You know what I mean? And that stopped the connection for me getting on the One Nation project with Tupac. Straight up. That was crazy.
Yeah, dang. That would have been dope for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Now, fast forward. Snoop leaves Death Row,
Mm-hmm.
and you and Snoop link back up.
Yeah.
And I believe Last Meal, was
No.
that you guys' first time working?
No, it was on the East Siders.
Oh, okay.
So prior to Snoop being Snoop and Coke being Coke, that was Jerry and Calvin Brothers. You know what I'm saying? So he knew where the sound came from. It came from us. He was heavily influenced by what we created. So for him to benefit, it would be wise to have one of the architects over there doing that type of style. That's why he used me on more songs than he did his own brother, Nate Dogg, rest in peace, because that's where he built his sound off of, the G-Funk sound. So back then in 1997, I was with some Pomino Block Crips. You know, they had a company called Street Institute. That was Big Al and Hat. And we put out stuff with Too Short on it. I came out with a record called Mr. Kane. Had Sibo, Too Short, Short Chop on there, Trey D. You know, so me and Trey D was already doing songs, and Half did at that time. So we was at Upland, and then Nate Dogg lived in Pomona, and Snoop lived in Claremont, which is considered Pomona. So I got a kite from Nate Dogg, not from Nate Dogg, but Half Dead. And Snoop was like, we want to squash the beef, man. Coco's my homeboy. And it's like the Death Row and Ruthless beef is over with. So we need to go that way. So once I came back over there, we squashed the beef, a long time beef. And we was at the music grinder. He said, I'm putting these two groups and these two hoods together that was kind of battling. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting Trady and a little homie, Goldie Loc, together to form a group called the East Siders. The first song I did is with a brother named Meach, who's an incredible producer. That's Mary Wells' son, you know. And the first song we did was don't, oh, so I can get around it. We did that one. And then we would go to Claremont to record at the Doghouse. And actually, I was supposed to do 3 to 4 songs, but Snoop put me on a lot of songs that I didn't know. I mean, think about it. 4 songs on the first Eastsider album that really set it off. And at that time, in 1999, it gave me a chance to reconnect with Dr. Dre because I was singing on LA on the Chronic 2001. So that was a good thing. And he said, I'm putting this record together to where it's the last time anybody gonna eat off me. You know what I'm saying? The last time, and that was the last meal because that was a No Limit record. And I was only supposed to be on 4 records, but ended up doing 8 to 9 records to where people consider that really like a joint venture album. And it really helped turn this thing around from the No Limit sound to get his crown back as banking off the G-Funk sound. And plus the Please record definitely was a significant part. And we had our king back. We had our West Coast king back. And Kokane was a significant part with all the great producers that was on there, you know, from Meech to Battle Cat to Fred Wreck to Jelly Roll. But a lot of the stuff that he was doing was banked around Kokane. Rightfully so. You know, you can look it up.
Yeah.
And there wasn't nothing wrong with that because chemistry is chemistry. If it's good to you, it's good for you. And I would always get on records and different other things, but things started wigging out. And that's why when money comes into play, people kind of act strange. We were supposed to do a Doggy All-Star. It was featuring myself, Latoya Williams, E. White, and Superfly. It was called Doggy All-Stars. That's where I was going to come out with a project called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Kane, which I had everybody on there from Ludacris to Jazzy Faye. And then on the Doggy All-Star, I had Night Lokes that I filmed in the hood in Pomona on the west side. And it was going to be real big. And he had a chance to sign with MCA, but us not knowing they were on the way of filing Chapter 11 because of the internet explosion coming in. A lot of things are not here no more. And that deal, you know, crumbled because they filed bankruptcy. Eazy-E took that to the pocket. Not Eazy-E, but Snoop took that to the pocket and then give everybody else what they were supposed to. Because I only got $80,000. I was supposed to get a substantial amount of money, but it didn't happen. So what I did...
Rewind.
Yeah.
So this is for the Eastsiders album?
No.
And Last Meal?
No. Well, after we did the Last Meal, the Eastsiders, you got 4 songs on the Eastsiders Present, Snoop.
But are you getting paid at all from any of this work?
Listen to me. I got paid upfront advance money.
Okay.
Which was cool. You know, after doing 4 songs on the Eastsiders, then doing 11 songs on Deuces and Trays, 8 songs on the Last Meal. Then we were about to do the MCA deal with the Doggy All-Stars. Okay. Also, I had a record that I was putting together called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Kane, which we had completed that project. Now, the leading single going into the new situation with Snoop's connection with MCA and the Doggy All-Stars, we already was successful with the Eastsider records and successful with the Last Meal records. This was something new. But the thing is, MCA filed Chapter 11. He took all those millions to the pocket, and what he was supposed to give everybody, he did not give. He gave me $80,000, so I had to wait a year. Word through the grapevine, he was telling everybody, Kokane, I had to drop him, I had to do this, which was a bunch of bull. So I had to give him an inducement letter because he was, you know, in breach of contract. So I waited a year to get out that project.
This $80,000, this was for an advance for the
advancement
for the
project, Doggy All-Stars.
Doggy All-Stars, okay. And what about all the stuff prior to that? Did you get paid for all that? The East
Of
Siders
course, I got paid.
last
I
meal?
got paid upfront money. Anything that I do, I get paid up front.
What about your publishing? Was your publishing right and everything like
No,
that?
not at all. Not at all. Percentages were small. Some songs wasn't even registered years later. But the coolest thing about it is, I was waiting for him to get it right. That means I got on Paid the Cost to Be the Boss. That means I got on all these other volumes of records. It's just not Last Meal. You see what I'm saying? For him to get it right. So what the thing of it was is that when I was trying to register the music on my side, for some reason on his side, he would have a discrepancy and they would kick it out. So I was always fighting him on registering my music properly, even though I was continuing to do music with him.
And now that you're having these issues with him, you know, you guys, he owes you a lot of money. I'm gonna guess $1 million or hundreds of
I'm just going to say
thousands.
he owed me money. If you figure I've done more songs than this one individual, and he done songs with me more than anybody in the game, and it's basically probably over 100 songs, being nice, you do the math.
Okay, now is that the only situation that you feel that he owes you money from?
I don't feel, I know.
Okay, is that the only
No,
situation
it's
that,
because
that you expect him to pay you for, or is there more situations that you're unhappy about?
I mean, the last record I did with him was Smut on My Name. And he was supposed to pay me some little peanuts for that, which is chump change. I said, okay, I'll do it, with the exception of you getting on my daughter's stuff and you cleaning up this stuff. So I got the paperwork for it. He only was going to give me $2,500, but I wasn't going to take that. But since I said, okay, you're going to clean up all this stuff, and I got it on paper, you're going to do an exchange for my daughter's stuff. He never did do that. So that was the straw that broke the camel back. It wasn't just, you know, Dad said what he said, and my homeboy still, I reiterate, I don't know what it's like to receive a royalty check from Snoop. And I don't. Now, the upfront money was good, but then after all that recoupment, you sell double platinum here and platinum here. Wait a minute, bruh. You know what I mean? So that was the straw 3 years ago that broke the camel back when he did that song. And prior to that song, I did 220, Talk That to Me. I wasn't even tripping on Dog because I love making records with Dog. The chemistry was good. I don't hate the man. I just hate his business, the way he do business. It's all really narcissistic about me. And it's not about you. I know he was at a thing saying, I like to thank me. Well, that's cool and all. But if you genuinely think like that and you don't take into consideration with the people that helped you, you know, that's not good business, because you complain all day about Suge, but then you turn around and make Suge look like a poster boy. Real talk. And a lot of people scared to say something because there's a lot of people that are groupies. Oh, I don't want to say nothing because the dude did. You can't play that with me, because I always look at Calvin Brodus as that MC that walked through the door to audition for Above the Law and Kokane was there. You can't pull that on me. I've done more songs with you, bro. Now you can do this and people are really scared. They don't want to say nothing about this and that. But man, I independently 18 years, I made all my money back, more than he owed me. Now it's like it's a scenario when Granny say, I'm gonna whoop your ass on Tuesday. But then Tuesday pass and you think you're getting away, and Saturday come here, let me whoop your ass. And that's all I'm doing as a big bro to Snoop. I'm gonna whoop your ass because I'm not gonna shit on you. I'm gonna use your words that you say against yourself, bro. This is what you said. You on camera saying, I'm at the company, you on camera saying, man, you the thing that make up the whole pie and everything. And I can't, you on songs that you don't even know, and I got that. And you know what you saying, dog? But see, when you so egotistical and you got your head stuck up your culo, it's hard for you to understand what's going on. But see, you can't do that with me. You can't blackball me. You can't do it. I just came from Milan, Italy, cutting it up with some real rich people that don't care about his little popcorn, 100 million money. And I don't care what you got. It's not about me caring what you got. I know he got a song out, Don't Count My Pockets. Well, guess what? Go in them pockets and grab my money. I don't care about your pockets. I made my rebound on my own, honestly. And I'm one of the hardest working persons in this business. That's why when you see cocaine everywhere like dog shit on grass, because this is what I do. I'm an honest worker and I treat people the way I want to be treated. That's why you ain't got nan person in the game talk about cocaine stiff me. So when I take that energy with me, and I don't care how big you think you is, or you can baller block me, you can't do shit but to take this ass whooping because it's the truth. That's why you silent, because your silence is complicit. Everything is complicit because you know why? You're in the wrong, Mr. Calvin Brodus. Now, I don't care what you're doing with what you're doing, how you do it. Bravo. But break bread, bro. And all I'm doing is showing from this side that I'm not on him. I don't hate on him, but I'm just going to present all the things that I've did that I didn't get my royalties for. And the court of public opinion is very powerful, just as well as me going after him to audit him.
What did you think when Daz came out and started to accuse him of withholding royalties and doing the same thing that Suge was doing?
Oh, he got some major validity to it because Snoop wants to sell his catalog for $1 billion. So he wants to grab everybody else's stuff. And that's why I think he kind of manipulated the situation where we all we got. And the East Siders, and those records didn't do a goddamn thing. I'm being honest. So therefore, he's on Drink Champs and everywhere else talking about, I'm going to get everybody's publishing, you know, slick talking. I'm going to get everybody publishing together, cool. I would do everything. Shut the up for a second because you lying on me. That's why Daz got upset, because you want to take his shit. You want to take everybody. And you want to go ahead and get in biz, match Dre or some shit. Dre got his $1 billion, so you want to sell all of our. I mean, you hope the statute of limitations apply. But I'm glad Daz said what he said, because nobody's bigger than the program. And if Snoop wants to humble himself and say, look, man, I'm going to make it right. Because I could be wrong, you could be wrong, everybody could be wrong. But when you mock people and you blatantly put in people's face that I'm not going to do this and I'm doing this and do that, you're only creating up an ecosystem of bad karma for yourself. And bad karma is going to hit him. You understand? I don't wish nothing on Dog, but when you think like our dad says some, people are upset because then you fool people saying we all we got, but then you have alternative motives on something else. And it's like you talk all this, but then you turn around and do your own people like that. That's incorrect.
Now, are you planning on suing him? Are you suing him?
I can't say. Certain things I plead the fifth on.
Okay.
Because certain things I can't put out in the public. But we are living in different times now. These times of holding court, the court of public opinion is powerful. Because if we didn't have that and have whispers, we wouldn't be talking about the Diddy or Epstein case because of the court of a public opinion, especially if the facts come back right. So when you go down his page and everything, his numbers are diminishing low. Snoop is at an all-time low in selling records. That's why the last didn't do good. Boo-boo. Because you know why? If you have a special cake and you change the ingredients, it's going to alter the taste of the cake. But when you're so narcissistic and you think you know it all, man, that's the reason why the ingredients in your cake don't taste good when it comes to creativity, because you're a bad businessman.
Man. Well, that's sad to hear.
Of course.
Because everything, Snoop is to the West Coast, and, as much as people love him, and it's sad to hear all that.
Yeah, but it's like I tell Dog and tell him, look, Eazy-E wanted to make it right. He didn't want us to go through no discrepancies. So he called a meeting to make it right. That's what a man do. But a wimp will run around, cowered out, thinking you're doing something. But all the while, you like the witch in the Snow White movie. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Dog has a narcissistic problem. He really take that king stuff to his head. You understand? When he don't understand that we're all kings out here. And if somehow, some miracle, he was to get up and say, man, look, I want to make this right with Daz. I want to make this right with the old crew. I want to make this right with Coke. How can we sit down, make it right, move forward? His name would be so like, but he don't choose to take that side. He chooses to take the Olympic Hollywood oligarch side as opposed to taking the people that were there for him side. So he runs around thinking, he tried reverse psychology, you know, now people want to be in my pockets. No, people don't want to be in your pockets. People don't want you to be in their pockets, bro. And it comes to a point where enough is enough. You'll have to be accountable for your own actions. You ain't bigger than the program. I don't care if you get $1 zillion. Good, bravo. That's your business. But it don't make me. It don't cut the lights on at my house. And I have a family too, and you have a family. So my thing is, the reason why I'm going to even open up like this is for Dog to have a chance to get it right. Get it right. Because the world wouldn't look at you wrong. They'll look at you like, wow, this man decided to be accountable for his own actions and make it right. But the more you be like Pharaoh, not letting Moses and them people go, the more plagues is going to hit you.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, you know, I wanted to ask you, well, before we get out of here, man, I heard you had a pretty wild Diddy story.
Yeah.
Can you take me through it? You know, like what all happened?
I mean, during that time, you know, my name was popping between 1999, extra popping, in 2005, me being at Doghouse. So back then, my manager was Big D and Donnie. Donnie, rest in peace, from 60 Crip. Did a lot of good stuff for me. He set it up. So when he called me, I didn't think it was Diddy, so I hung up. Now he called me back, and Diddy was like, "No, B." So I knew it was him. So he said, "I want to put a song together." He said, because he's a fan of my music, and I actually was going to do some business with Diddy and sign some things with him because I wasn't a signed artist at Doghouse. A lot of people thought I was signed. That's what Snoop was telling them. I wasn't. I was a free agent like Nate Dogg. Only time I was going to sign is when he had the MCA. So going back to the Diddy thing, I flew out there, cash me out healthy. Diddy business is good. Cash me out. You go 35. Here you go. So I went out there into Miami and we recorded 3 songs. But one of the songs he used on this project called The Saga Continues. And it was a song called Lonely. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm lonely. It was real dope as shit. And he was very impressed with how fast I do music. So he said, man, we're going to go out tonight, man. We're going to hang out. Yeah, take that. He was happy, amped. So I get in the car with him, and we rolling. I'm firing up some weed, feeling good. I'm like, damn, cuz it's Diddy. I'm like, shit. He pulled out an ashtray, and it was full of ecstasy pills. Say, you want one? I was like, nah, man. Smoke some weed. Cool. He hit Diddy. Wow, he done popped like. So we go to this club, not the white party. Let me go ahead and say that. Not the parties he be having. But we went to this club in Miami, and it was like 3 levels. And we go in the club, the first cracking, you know, fly ladies everywhere, you know, players everywhere. Go up to the second one, it's a little bit more private. We got the bottles. I didn't drink nothing that night either. Let that be known. Then we go to the 3rd floor. 3rd floor was very interesting because I'm looking to the right, and I'm seeing this dude over here in the Speedo. And this dude over there kissing this dude. And I'm like, I look at his homie, Hawk, rest in peace. This is one of his homies. And I looked at them with the most disgusting, disturbing look on my face. So they knew I wasn't with that program. And they took me on. They took me to the telly, to the suite, and that was the end of it. And I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, I just thought, oh, he crazy, you know, oh, he going to those type of parties. And it even dawned on me until all these allegations start coming up and those bullet points. Then I'm like, oh, he thought he could bait me in. And I wasn't going for it.
Dang. Okay. Now, there was a situation where Code 187 sampled the Billie Jean beat.
Yeah, that was during the days when I was going first about to put my project out under Epic Records, Ruthless Epic Records, and we were going. I told you Dr. Dre and Code 187 was going to produce my album together, and the first song that we were going to do was the Hutch sample Billie Jean beat, and Dre put on top of his stuff. Michael Jackson was going to clear it. But see, Michael Jackson's gangster. Michael Jackson said, yeah, I know of Kokane, I know his father, and everything, but I'll clear the sample, but Dre got to give me 6 beats, but I cannot give him no publishing. Yeah. So Dre tell that story, but he don't tell the complete story. Not that I expect him to. But that's the story. One of the reasons why they got hot because of Kokane not being able to get it cleared, but he was going to get Dre to do 6 beats with no publishing. So everybody was like, Mike. I wasn't. I was like, shit, that's Michael Jackson. But everybody was like, man, we ain't with Mike. Dre was hot at Michael Jackson.
6 beats with no publishing?
Yep.
Jeez, that's tough. Man, that'd have been nice though to hear Mike on some Dre beats.
But see, Mike was, a lot of people like, no. Mike was the most gangster artist in the game. He went up against the Machine. You know the Machine, the Tommy Mottolas, the people that you hear on them Epstein lists. He went up against them. He was saving children. You understand, from that island. Michael was an amazing person. And those allegations against him, we all know what it was. But Michael was gangster with it. He was gangster enough to tell Paul McCartney, I'm going to buy your publishing. Oh, Mike, he's talking. What happened? See, Mike knew the business. You know what I mean? So if we would have did the song for the Billie Jean beat, I think it would have been one of the biggest records because he didn't allow too many people to sample his stuff.
Well, before we get out of here, do you have any, Tupac stories you could share? Any wild times with him? It seems like everybody got a wild Tupac story.
We used to go to the club at this popping spot called Jamaica House. Pac was a firecracker. He took out his gun, pop in the club. Pop! Come on, clown. What you doing, man? But he was yin and yang. He was following, and he was a big leader. You know what I'm saying? He came from a lineage that were the Black Panthers. And you know what they're about. They were military mind state. He come from the soil where it was royal. But being around Pac, him almost beating the engineer.
Well, what happened with that?
We in the studio, Need Spice 1 at Can-Am, when we cutting the record, Fortune and Fame, along with Idi Amin. And the engineer kept, no. He said, you got one more time to fuck up, and I'm going to beat your ass. Guess what? The engineer didn't fuck up.
Pac went off on him.
Yeah, Pac was serious about his shit.
How was the engineer messing up?
I don't really. He just kept messing up the sound. Yeah, that's what it was. You know what I mean? And it's like, get it right, man. But I love the,
Did the engineer get fired, or did you guys go right back to recording?
No, we recorded that night, and that was the night we recorded. But the engineer, he understood.
He understood. Okay.
Oh yeah, he understood. So he got a pass. But Pac was always animated. He was fun to be around.
Were you around when Hit 'Em Up dropped? Were you around Tupac at that time?
I was around him all the time, whenever we seen each other. And then prior to him to going to jail, I didn't see him. But he was, like I told you, he was around us all the time. Lay Law Above the Law, NWA, Eazy-E, Kokane.
Okay. Well, man, Kokane, I appreciate you.
Yep, and make sure, I want to make sure I get my drops. First, I want to give big ups to your father. Rest in peace, bro. Last time I was here, he treated me royal. We smoked up. It was good. And I want to give props to our friendship. We've been doing things for a lot of times. A lot of people don't know.
That's crazy.
Which is a good thing, and I'm proud of you for the trajectory that you're doing. Also, my projects are doing extremely good. The Adventures of Dr. Kokane is really doing good. And I also have a project with my boy from Kokane. His name is GMZ. We have a project out right now. And we're working on the next project, GMZ and Kokane project. It got Daz producing on there. It got Cole 187. It got Prozac, Joseph Lineberg. And that's what line we pushing, man. And big ups to him. And also my daughter, Nisa C. Long. She has a new single out called Sweet.
Was this the daughter that was working on a deal with Disney 20 years ago?
That's crazy. She's big now.
Man, that's what's up.
Yep, Anissa. And also, I have this kid named Schizo out of Buffalo, New York. He's dropping a compilation called Asylum Volume 1, which is featuring Burner, 38 Special Core, Mega, Devin the Dude, Styles P, me, Touche, the Eastsiders, Corrupt, Your Who's Who on the project. And we're doing a DJ contest right now featuring Project Pat. So that's all out under Buddy Boy Illustrious. And we just putting paint where it ain't. And I'm still doing my same thing, 2 steps with the hooks. And I'm just grateful for the whole world, to still embrace this sound. I've been making records since 1989. And that's been many moons ago. And I'm very honored to be able to do that. And I want people to understand at the same time, I want people to understand it's not about hating someone. It's about accountability. So when people think that I'm talking like this adamant, I'm talking from a big bro perspective, whether I mention Snoop, whether I mention anybody, you know what I mean? Because I don't hate nobody. You know what I mean? Especially when I'm doing good and I'm comfortable in my own skin and my money's good, my health is good, but still it's a reach of accountability that we all must have. And if we don't hold ourselves accountable, that means you become a yes man. And Kokane ain't no yes man.
I hear that, man. Well, Kokane, once again, man, I really appreciate you, man. I love working with you, man. And, I'm looking forward to what you got coming up.
Yes, sir. So I want to get my guy in here real quick.
Okay.
Give him a little space to do his thing. And, man, we got to get together. We long overdue, buddy. We got to get some music together.
Man, I ain't rapped in like 10 years, man.
Well, you're going to have to dust. You all heard it here. He going to dust off his Stacy and get back on that mud.
For sure.
Man, I appreciate you every time, though.
For sure. Appreciate you, man. What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon. So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.